So we're going to keep it in that junior golf realm. Our next presenters, Mo Martin and Tiffany Joe. Mo Martin is a major champion and a longtime LPGA Tour professional, a UCLA alum and former All-American. Mo is also an alumni of our SCPGA Junior Tour and currently serves in the board of the SCPGA Foundation. This year, she served as captain of the California State Junior Team. Mo was recently named as one of the regional coaches with the USGA for the U.S. National Development Program. Tiffany Joe is a former LPGA Tour player, another standout at UCLA. She was a two-time U.S. Women's Amateur Pub Links champion and earned All-American honors as a Bruin. Following her playing career, Tiffany was a collegiate coach at Cal State San Marcos and USC. How do you go from UCLA to USC? Tiffany's now coaching our U.S. national team and development program. Please welcome Mo Martin and Tiffany Joe.
Oh, do you have the clicker?
I do not have a clicker.
Is this the clicker?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Gotcha. Sorry, we didn't have a personalized walk-up song for you, Mo, but I think if we picked one, it would probably be Mo Money, Mo Problems. Hi, everyone. Like Randy said, my name's Tiff Joe. I'm an assistant coach for the U.S. National Development Program. And this is Mo Martin, SoCal legend, British Open champion, also the straightest driver, male or female, if you ask ChatGPT. So, and West Region coach of the USNDP. But first of all, we just wanted to say how grateful we are to be here talking to you folks. Mo and I both grew up playing junior golf right here in Southern California, and we're just so excited to get this chance to connect with a group of people that we've just admired and respected for so long about something that we're really excited about. So to give you a little bit of background on the USNDP, every other US Olympic sport, with the exception of golf, has some kind of development program for our junior golfers, right? And in fact, most other countries have some kind of golf pathway that takes talented junior golfers, turns them into elite amateurs, and guides them into elite young pros, except for the United States. But the USNDP is here to change that. Did it buzzed? There we go. But before I go into a little bit more detail about what we're doing, we're just going to play a quick 1-minute video about some of the characters we have on our national team.
They're here! Here too, run it back! Wow!
Our goal is to help our young, great talents get to professional golf as good as they've ever been. We want to make sure that these players at the end of the year look back on their experiences with us and say, that was awesome, we want to do it again.
I knew about this team last year. There's definitely a big goal to get on it.
I'm one of the faces of girls junior golf in the US, and I think that's really special.
They give us so many pathways to get better, so many opportunities. Really thankful for everything that they give us the opportunity to have.
I need to make these putts if I'm going to win the world.
Last year, we all got better. This year, they're just kind of building off what they did last year. Yeah, I'm super lucky, very fortunate to be able to come out here and practice with some of my best friends under the leadership of the USA Development Team.
So that's our overarching goal and our mission, right? We want to foster future generations of American golf talent. We want more American golfers in the top 100 of the Rolex World Rankings. We want more junior golfers to get the opportunity to play college golf at an elite level. So we want to provide a pathway to success by delivering competitive opportunities, support, and training that helps develop American golf talent. And we want to help reduce the financial burden that having a junior golfer puts on a family. With the help of our partners, our host venues, and our past champions, we want to help provide education, experiences, and mentorship for these athletes to achieve success. And we want to do it in a healthy and positive way, right? Yes, we want our professionals to be high achieving, but we also want them to be healthy and happy individuals as well. So this is what we want to do. We want to grow more US stars to inspire future generations, provide that same support, resources, and opportunities that other countries have been providing their athletes for years. And we want to create a clear pathway all the way from being a 13-year-old competitive junior golfer all the way to the professional ranks while incorporating this progression from the state level to the regional level to the national level. And we want to identify, guide, train, fund, and support these selected athletes through this pathway while providing a broad set of developmental resources. We want to establish national teams at the junior, amateur, and young professional level to set these players up for success. And we're hoping that through this, we can start to encourage a culture of mentorship and camaraderie with our young pros. I can't stress enough, like, we are not swing instructors. We have tons of respect for swing instructors. In fact, Mo and I have relied really heavily on instructors for the majority of our careers. And because of that, we understand this really close bond and relationships that some of our younger players have with their coaches. And we actually think that we can help enhance that relationship, especially with some of the data collection and stats and testing that we do. What we're here to do is to just fill in the gaps, right? We're looking for opportunities where we could provide support and resources to help these athletes become the best version of themselves. Oops, how do I go back? So one part of the program that we're really excited about, and you'll see that this is kind of prevalent throughout all the different stages of our pathway, is the USNDP grant recipient program. And this was specifically designed to mitigate the barriers of cost for athletes who have the potential to move through this pipeline. So the USNDP is offering grants of up to $15,000, and this can be used for competition, travel to tournaments, training, coaching, facility fees, equipment. And it was really important to us that when we did this program, we weren't just cutting a check and having these athletes go about their way. We wanted to make sure that they were receiving additional support throughout the year. So this came through the form of USNDP-sponsored tournament exemptions, virtual sessions with coaches, and access to a strokes gain stats platform called Excel Golf. So some of these virtual sessions might include something that had to do with how to navigate the recruiting process or get on a college coach's radar, maybe a proper nutrition and hydration on the golf course, maybe picking smarter targets into greens. And it also came with access to Junior 54, which is a mental skills platform run by Pia Nilsson and Lynn Marriott of Vision 54. And that comes with 3 virtual sessions with Pia, as well as 12 sessions that are self-paced, self-guided, and access to a USNDP virtual community. The access to the stats platform comes with the added benefit of a one-on-one meeting with a coach once the player has crossed the threshold of 20 rounds inputted within the app. And we included a QR code. Applications for this are open through the end of this month. So if you guys have any juniors or families in mind that you feel like could benefit from this program, please feel free to share this with them. Oops. And these are some of our highlights from the grant program from the last couple years. This year, 109 athletes and their families received an annual grant from the USNDP, and that totaled more than $865,000. Some of our 2025 recipients included 5 national junior team members, as well as 11 state team athletes across 7 different states. In 2024, grant recipients participated in 13 USGA championships, and this year, grant recipients earned 107 tournament victories, including 12 AJGA wins. And I thought this was a really cool stat to include. 45 of the 52 grant recipients from the class of 2025 and 2026 so far have already committed to college golf programs. And of course, this grant program is funded through the USGA, its donors, and its partners.
Thanks, Tiff. If anybody has any questions, we're going to leave about 5 minutes at the end if you'd like to ask. This next slide represents the entire scope of our national program. Within the pyramid, you can find all of our teams, and below you're going to see the word Thrive. Thrive is our athlete development framework. I'm going to get to Thrive in a couple minutes, but I want to talk about the state level and the state teams first, and how and why they form the bedrock of our entire program. We realize without the success at a local level, without the success of the state teams, we are not going to achieve the level of success that we want at the national level. So each state team is going to have a coach, a captain, and other influential leaders. If anybody is interested, actually Southern California is looking for their coach, so you can go ahead and find an application on their website if you or anyone you know is interested. What the USNDP is doing to support them is we have biannual training. So we have 2 trainings per year, and we also have an ongoing level of support in person and online for the coaches, captains, and leaders. We also recognize that each state is best equipped to identify the players within their state and also identify who needs extra support. And so we are grateful for all of the local PGA sections, the AGAs, other local associations like the San Diego Golf Association, who are already making the state teams a success. And so the goal of each state team is to expand and strengthen the pipeline for junior golfers ages 13 to 18. And this will serve the following purposes up here. It's going to create a developmentally appropriate and aspirational pathway. And this is going to allow players to progress to higher levels of competition. It's going to strengthen state-level programming, which is going to incentivize in-state playing and development, and so this is going to drive participation. It's going to diversify. So by expanding access to underrepresented groups at the very highest levels, we're going to increase depth and diversity. And this is also going to establish a team culture. So with athletes competing more with each other, their peer-to-peer learning is going to increase, their camaraderie is going to increase, and it's going to encourage a lasting support network. Now onto the growth of the state teams. We launched in 2024 with 7 pilot state teams. The programs are designed to have an equal number of boys and girls, and the number of players on each state is going to be determined by junior golf population, by handicaps, and by participation density. So for example, Southern California can have up to 20 players, and Maryland up to 8. In 2025, this year, we had 9 more states join. I do want to mention that at this time, Northern California and Southern California have 2 separate teams, but at some point in the future, those will be joining. The expansion timeline. So we're excited about this. In 2026, 14 more states will be added. So by the end of year 3, we will have 30 of our 50 states involved, and we're paving the road to all 50 by 2030. So that's our ultimate goal, and we are well on our way to achieving that. A fun thing to note here is that we're already seeing college applications being turned in with the key credential being state team participation. I'm going to talk about Thrive now, which, as I said, is our athlete development framework. And this is a blueprint across the entire USNDP. And it represents a holistic approach to maximizing an athlete's their potential on and off the golf course, and also fostering a lifelong connection to the game. So each letter represents a core developmental pillar. We're going to start with T. That's the technical, the training, the tactical. I'm going to reiterate what Tiff said earlier. We are absolutely not replacing swing coaches. We rely heavily on them, and we want to support that relationship as much as possible. So with supporting the athletes and the coaches at home, what we're doing together is we are implementing course management strategies, statistical analysis, and performance benchmarks. Our head coach, Chris Zambri, brings so much to the table in this department. Over his 18 years of coaching at Pepperdine and at USC, he developed what he calls combine tests. So these are score-based assessments that measure things like how well does a player get the ball on line, how well do they control their carry yardages, both with a full shot and with taking some off, how well do they control the speed on the greens. Tiff actually has an example of this called the sim round. She's going to talk about it in a little bit. And we also have a sheet if you want to take an in-depth look at it and take it home with you. So these scores are really valuable benchmarks for tracking progress, providing comparative data at developmentally appropriate levels. And also, this is a big thing. So Coach Zambri's philosophy is if it's not broken, don't fix it. So this gives you empirical data to really figure out what to work on and what essentially to leave alone and keep doing well. The second pillar is H. That's health, both physical and psychological. So this covers key metrics like strength, power, mobility, nutrition, mental wellness. And so athletes have extremely qualified consultants in each of these departments that they have access to. And they also have continued access to ongoing webinars for their continued education. The next is relationships. As everyone knows in this room, healthy relationships and the keys to maintaining them are essential to sustain success. So we want to support our athletes maintaining strong connections with their coaches, their families, their friends, their peers, their mentors. And also we're reinforcing the importance of setting and respecting boundaries. Individual development. Every player is unique, and so is their path. So by focusing on appropriate goal setting, balanced development, and these tailored progress trackings, along with golf ADMs, that's how we are respecting their individualism. V, values, the beliefs and principles that guide who we are and what we stand for. At the USNDP, some of our values are competitiveness, sportsmanship, integrity, and gratitude. So this is strewn into the culture of each of our teams, as well as expected from our coaches, captains, and leaders supporting them. And the last one is equipment. So these are all the tools and resources in a player's bag and helping each player have what they need to reach their maximum potential. So Tiff is going to take it from here and talk about the national junior team and what we've been up to recently.
So this is just a quick overview of our national teams. So this year in 2025, we had 22 juniors. We had 11 boys, 11 girls. Of those, 14 were returning players. Obviously, every year we lose a few to the college ranks, and 8 newcomers, and 2 of those were grant recipients. We've set a goal of having 20 boys and 20 girls on the national junior team in the next 3 years. Another exciting program we started this year was the Elite Amateur program, and this included 6 women and 3 men, mostly playing at the college level. And we definitely understand that, these athletes have like a time commitment and a busy schedule for their college programs. So we just did our best to provide tailored support to bridge any gap and enhance their competitive edge. One thing we're hoping to start in 2026 is a young professionals team. So Heather Daly, Donna Frio, and I have been out to about 4 Epson Tour events this year to not only start to build some relationships with some of the younger American pros, but also to kind of pick their brains on what kind of support they would have liked as a fledgling golf pro. And this is some of the things that we've been doing with our national junior team and our elite AMs. We've hosted 3 training camps, one at Atlanta Athletic Club, one at Trinity Forest, one at Desert Mountain. We have another one coming up next month at the golf club at Old Stone in Kentucky. We've hosted 2 friendly matches, one with Golf Australia, one with Golf Canada. And this is just an awesome opportunity to expose the junior golfers to this format of team play, foursomes and 4-ball, as well as experiencing the added pressure of representing your country. We've conducted numerous home visits. This is a great opportunity to not only get to know the athletes and their games, but also their immediate support systems. And at the same time, start to expose them to some of the combine testing that Coach Zambri brought to the table. We've accompanied them to tournaments overseas, tournaments like the British Men's and Women's Amateur, the British Girls Championship, and the South American Amateur. We definitely don't want our young American pros to get their first crack at links golf the first time they play the British Open, right? We would hope that they've had some exposure to those conditions and those types of courses before that point. So that's why that's a really important opportunity to give these kids. One thing that was really exciting about a month ago, we got the chance to take 5 of our junior boys and compete in the University of Washington College Tournament at Sahalee. And this is just a fantastic opportunity because I don't know if you guys have played Sahalee, but it is a true beast of a golf course. And although it took a lot of work to get this approved by the NCAA, it was more than worth it. The golf course was set up super difficult, long rough, firm greens, fast greens, tucked pins. And it was one of those courses where even par is actually a really good score. So it was just a great opportunity to sell this idea that you don't have to go for every pin, especially on a setup like that. And we also have monthly educational webinars, whether we talk about nutrition or sports psychology or golf fitness. We have some element of education, and we always brought on a special guest. So we had Kala Morikawa, who was amazing. We had Allison Corpuz and Morgan Pressel 2 days after they won the Solheim Cup. And it's been so awesome to see how generous these pros have been with their time and their energy, and how excited they are to give back to the future of American golf. And this is how we're trying to help. Like I said before, we're just here to fill the gaps, right? Whether it's course management, tournament prep, mental skill work, or as Mo was alluding to before, collecting and analyzing data. And this last point we feel like is probably one of the greatest contributions we can make, right? Because stats are really good for, yes, trying to figure out what you might need to invest a little bit more time and energy into, but also to highlight what you already do at a high level so you know to protect it. To give you an example, we had a player on our junior national team who was convinced she was a bad putter, and not only that, her dad was also convinced she was a bad putter, which is a whole nother issue. But she was kind of at this crossroads where she was like, I think I'm going to go see another coach. I think I'm going to change my putter. I think I can change my grip. And we were like, whoa, before you do that, why don't we just try tracking your putting stats for like 6 to 8 months and just to see where you're at? And not count putts, because junior golfers love to count putts, not butts, putts, but just to track the footage that you were starting off with and how many putts it takes you to hole out. So after 6 to 8 months, she got her data back, and turns out she's actually a pretty good putter. I think she was gaining like 0.7 over that period of time on the greens, and this is in comparison to PGA Tour data, people that are making their living off of this stat. And as you know, like at the end of the year, 90% of PGA Tour players will end up between losing 0.5 and gaining 0.5 on the greens. So if you're gaining 0.7, like you probably shouldn't change anything. And that's one of the risks, right? If you start wanting to tinker with something because you feel like it might not be good, that you run that risk of actually becoming not good at that, right? And I'm 100% guilty of it. I mean, as a player, I think it was really easy for me to be on the road, and if I had a round where I didn't hit as many greens as I wanted to, it was really easy for me to just blame my swing or say like I needed to do a rehaul. But the fact is that you don't really know for sure like why your green and regulation stat or your strokes gained approach stat isn't where you want it to be, right? It could be like you just don't know your carry distance. A prediction test is a good way to answer that question. It could be that you're not hitting your line. A line test is a good way to answer that one. It could be that you're having trouble taking yardage off of full shots and keeping it on line. That's a good question for the random test. Or it could be that you're just picking dumb targets, which is just a whole nother conversation, and we need to talk a little bit about course management. But that's why we feel like this is something that could really enhance the communication and the dialogue between a player and their swing coach back home. And I'm going to show you an example of one of these tests. So when Coach Zambri first took over the men's program at USC, he had a sneaking suspicion that his players were below average putters, but he didn't know for sure. So he decided to start collecting some stats from them. And because the PGA Tour strokes gained putting data is all free and available for anyone to look at, he was able to compare their data. And so this was great, right? He started getting all this data back, but every time he wanted more data, he had to wait for his players to go play a qualifying round or go play in a tournament. And I don't know if you guys know Coach Zambri, but he is not a patient man. It's a real problem. And so he got together with a stats professor at USC, and they figured out what the common footage is that his guys were leaving themselves on the greens. So he would have his players go out to the practice putting green with one golf ball and hit all these 18 distances in random order, varying the slopes, varying the holes. And in this case, because the footage is fixed, you actually can count putts, right? So if you complete this test and you complete it in 29 putts, that's 0 in strokes gained putting in comparison to the PGA Tour. So that was really great. But another thing that he was thinking about was that he had a feeling that his players were hammering their putts. So he decided, as an added piece of data, he would have them track how many inches short or long they were leaving their putts on putts outside of 10 feet. And obviously, you guys all know putting with great speed is beneficial for a lot of reasons. It makes the hole bigger, it cuts down on the opportunity for 3 putts, it makes it easier to make breaking putts. So he had his guys go out and start to track these inches. And I do have a bunch of handouts printed out, courtesy of Cheryl at Staples Print Center. And so he had them go out and start tracking this. And basically, if you were to calculate your speed ratio for a round of golf, it would be the total footage of your putts outside 10 feet divided by the total inches short or long you left yourself on those putts. And there's a couple of nuances, right? So for instance, on a 21-footer, if you end up making it, but it would have gone, 24 inches past, you would write down plus 24. You would kind of have to guesstimate how many inches past it would have gone. But the interesting thing about this, about tracking their speed, was that his players, just from awareness, just from being conscious of their speed, actually ended up putting with better speed over time, right? So, I mean, I think it was probably the fact that it's a lot easier to hammer a putt 3 feet past than to have to endure the shame of writing plus 36 on your sim round card. But for whatever reason, his players started putting with better speed, and because they putted with better speed, they started having better putting numbers in general. So we found that this test is beneficial for a couple of reasons, right? It starts giving you instant feedback. It starts giving you some really, great usable data. But at the same time, it turns out when you hit putts with intention, when it's random, when it's competitive, it actually ends up being the ideal way to practice. So it's why we really love using this test. And the last thing I want to leave you guys with is this Be My Champions podcast. So this is a podcast moderated by Pia Nilsson and Lynn Marriott from Vision 54, and they're really easily digestible, 20-minute episodes, and they cover really important subjects like how to encourage your junior golfer to take more ownership in their game, or how to encourage them to separate their golf results from, their identity as a human being, all the way to how to, effectively communicate with your junior golfer post-round. And this is all, we included a QR code. This is all on the website, free, accessible for everyone. I know when I touched on giving helpful feedback to your junior golfer post-round, we all had a couple parents' names that just floated to the top of our brains. So please feel free to share this with anyone that you feel like could benefit from this piece of education. And that's pretty much all I have. We were going to open it up to any questions if anyone had them, but this is a QR code to the website. If any of your juniors want to get on the USNDP radar, this is a place where they could submit their golf resume. And this can be for anything from the state programs, grant recipient program. Even we offer local AJGA exemptions. One thing that we saw was a big problem with so many golf tournaments and trying to navigate the junior golf landscape that a lot of junior golfers were having to travel really far, especially when it comes to a really competitive junior golf atmosphere like Southern California. A lot of them were having to fly to like the East Coast to see if they could, get better, exemption points to up their status. So that's something that we've been working to get out as well. But if you have any questions, Mo will answer them.
Yeah, any questions out there? I'll go ahead and pass.
Oh, you already got it.
Any questions?
I might have missed it, but on the speed ratio portion, what would be a good number to look at?
Oh yeah, no, that was my bad. I totally forgot about that. So after we looked at a bunch of data, if you're getting like 1.4 or higher in like a regular round of golf, you're putting with good enough speed. I think what we realized is that for the purposes of the sim round, because you're not as nervous and you're on a practice putting green, we hold everyone to a higher standard. It's closer to like 1.5 or higher. But if you do the speed ratio for yourself on the golf course, anything over 1.4 is really good.
What gap do you feel like you're most commonly having to fill when it comes to junior golfers?
That's a really good question. Do you have an answer, or do you want me to go first?
It's really interesting. I mean, we all have different perspectives and we're finding different things. I am finding a big gap kind of in wedge practice and intentionally paying attention to their wedges. So I feel like a lot of the juniors right now just aren't doing intentional block practice, random practice. And also something else I'm realizing too is they're not really paying attention to a lot of their lies. So kind of like what Rick was talking about, how like having them explain what they're doing, listening to their process. Like they're kind of, I would say from my perspective, kind of ignoring wedges and lies at this point. What would you say, Tiff?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like the lie recognition one is huge. And it is really interesting because a lot of people will ask, because we had these one-on-one mid-year meetings with all of our junior national team members, and they were like, what's a good chipping drill, or what's a good thing to do for chipping? And at the end of the day, like the best way to get better at chipping is to chip a lot, because so much of it is lie detection or lie recognition. So if you can expose yourself to a variety of lies, grasses, slopes and everything, that's kind of the best thing to do to just kind of expand your chipping repertoire.
Ladies, first of all, thank you both for being here. It means a lot, and we're all proud of all the great things that you've done before in your careers and now with this. I have two quick questions. You have Cheryl at Safeway Printing Center's number, and then
her customer service was like 3.5 stars at best.
Yeah, all right, thanks. See, you oversold us. You're becoming a coach already. I wanted to ask this question to both of you. It would be interesting knowing your great junior golf backgrounds and your great careers. What did you learn that you would have done different in a couple different ways because of what you're doing now? Since this is about coaching coaches to coach.
Yeah, I think so much becomes clear, once you're separated from playing and, just being like completely involved in it. And I do want to recognize Jamie Mulligan because he played an absolutely significant role in my life. Professionally, personally, I've known him since I was in college. So thank you so much, Jamie. I wouldn't have had the career I had without your guidance, your coaching, and everything you bring to the table. I think for me, looking back, I think just kind of, again, like Rick, I think I would have worked on my mental game more. And I think if I could have boosted my confidence, I think things would have been, I had a great career. I have absolutely nothing to complain about. But looking back, you can always kind of like see these gaps. And I was also fortunate enough to have somebody step forward and financially sponsor me for a year when my parents couldn't. So I'm so invested in a program like this that really does try to help kids falling through the cracks. So I'm super passionate, and that's a big reason why I'm here and why I want to see this program healthy and grow and help as many families, kids, coaches as possible.
Yeah, I think for me, the thing that I was probably missing out the most on is we really encourage our junior golfers to not specialize super early, to find another sport, to find another hobby. It goes a long way, not just in their like development physically, but also in terms of like, you know, I touched on separating your on golf course identity from who you are as a person, and I definitely skipped out a little bit on that as a younger junior golfer. I was definitely the person that thought that if something wasn't directly benefiting my golf game, that it wasn't worth me doing at all. And it wasn't until like my second year on tour that I found that I found my love for surfing, and that honestly probably extended my career by like 6 to 8 years. So that's something that we really, you know, when we look at the holistic development of junior golfers, that's something that we really try to focus on.
Thank you, everybody, so much.